Hi there, welcome to another episode of Clement Makes Stuff, which is where I, Clement, talk about drawing and sculpture and art in general. Today I want to do a tutorial on blind contour drawing, which is a common exercise that a lot of students in first year university courses will do in a drawing class, intro drawing class. And it has a lot to do with practicing the process of seeing and analyzing things. I've been drawing for about 25 years, and for me, a lot of it has become second nature. I don't profess to be a master at it because I'm just continuously learning, but because of it's become a bit of a second nature to me, I'm trying to simplify my way of understanding it so I can teach it better. And I'm at its core, drawing is about visualizing lines, shapes, and relationships in your brain that either come from your imagination or they're coming directly from observing something in front of you, whether it's an environment in front of you or a person, or you're using reference from a photo, from a screen, whatever it is. So you're visualizing something and transferring it to a surface. Drawing has very little to do with what your hand is actually doing. There is some muscle memory that comes with learning how to make marks, but the majority of the process of drawing is not the physical act of moving a pencil around. The majority of it is how sophisticated you can imagine a shape and lines in your mind. So I believe that most people I believe all people have some drawing ability, even though I've heard from so many people over the years that they have no talent. And I think that there's a kind of a sliding scale, but a lot of people kind of sell themselves short by insisting they have zero talent whatsoever. And I would say that everybody has some drawing ability because they're able to write their name and they're able to draw a hand-drawn map of how to get to their house or how to get to a certain store. And that is essentially drawing, even if it's not like a super realistic detailed drawing. It's the same process of visualizing shapes in your brain and transferring it onto paper. And the more you've done it, for example, your name, which you've written thousands of times, it becomes second nature through repetition. And while some people might have more of a natural inclination, but everybody who is talented at drawing had to practice a lot of times, and they had to practice the process of seeing shapes and relationships. So if you had a photo of a person and you wanted to make a drawing of that person's face, for example, and it doesn't come out exactly the way you wanted it, it's basically an inability to analyze the complexity of the shapes in it, but that can be learned. Some people are better at it than others, but it is kind of a muscle that can be learned through exercises like the one I'm going to do today, called the blind contour drawing. All right, so let's get started. Keep in mind that this is about a process of learning. It's not about producing a product. So the drawings that come out of this exercise are gonna look a little weird, but it's not at all about what it looks like, and I cannot emphasize that enough. This is about practicing your ability to see the world in finer detail than most of us usually use our eyes to do. Let's get started. All right, so for this exercise, I'm going to use my eye to follow around the edge of an object. I'm holding this just as an example, but I'm not going to draw this exact one because it's kind of in front of me right here, and it's the point is that I don't look at the surface here. I actually have a photo of a bulldog clip like this on my computer monitor that's in front of me over here. And then I'm going to look at that one so that my eye isn't down here, because the point is that I do not look at my page while I draw. I'm training my hand to move around the edge of the object as I move my eye around the outside edge, which is the contour. And I can move inside for some of these other details as well. But as I move my eye around the object and I really try to analyze these angles and capture them correctly without looking at the page, I will be just telling my hand to try to move in the right way to capture it, but it's not going to be accurate at the end, and that's totally okay. I cannot emphasize that's not the point. You're not trying to have a photographic memory. You're just trying to train your hand to move without you supervising it, so to speak. Okay, so I am going to bring up a picture of my bulldog clip, which I have in front of me, and then I am not looking at my hand, or not looking at my page, and I'm going to pick a point on the left hand side. So you're going to have to just trust me that I'm not looking at the page now, and I am studying these angles. And you can kind of go as fast or slow as you want, but you don't want to go too fast. You want to go sort of at a comfortable speed, relative to how your eye is moving around the object. So right here, if I want to draw into the object a little bit, I can go like this and come back, and then go like this. And if I'm going to draw a sphere here, well, an ellipse, where the spring is. And then I'm going to come back around to where I started, but it's probably not where I really started, somewhere over there. And then I'm going to draw this kind of wavy line where the spring ends. And that's it. Okay, so that definitely didn't line up. I'm done. I'm looking back, and that's all right. That's basically that exercise, and we started off with a simple object, but we can graduate to a different object that's a little bit more complex. So. Okay, I'm going to switch to Sharpie just so that it's actually easier to see. I'm usually not a big fan of drawing in Sharpie in my sketchbook because it bleeds through, but just so it's easier for people to see, and I'm going to draw a cat because I like cats, even though sometimes they're jerks. All right, so again, I'm going to pick a point here. I try to be aware of how large I'm drawing because I know I need to fit it on this page. But I'm going to pick a point kind of on the left side of this guy's head and kind of move around and try to do a few of the stripes and lines going into the shape, overall body. But then I'm kind of trying to work my way back to where I started. If you get to a point where it's like the end of a shape and you want to relocate, then it's okay to like look at your page and find relocate your pencil, like between the legs or a place on the face. You could relocate your pencil and then look away again. This is it's it's not about the finished product. I mean, I'll be surprised if it looks too very cat-like, but it's about the process of seeing. So again, I'm gonna start here. And as I move my eye around, I'm going to do a few shapes here. As I move my eye around the ears, then I know that I'm halfway down the side of the head right now, so I can do an eye here and an eye here, nose, and I swear I'm not looking, so because there would be absolutely no reason for me to cheat on this exercise. It would lose all the educational value. Okay, I can feel that I'm near the bottom of the book, and I've got a tail here, and the hindquarters of cats are difficult to draw because of all that fur. So I'm just going to make some marks here, but I know because my hand is placed down here that I can generally place where I need to go for the legs and reuniting with where the end of the tail was. So if you place your hand right down on the page, then if you go kind of draw a shape that's in a different direction, you can usually find close to where you left off without looking at this page. So I'm going to draw some more marks here. All right, I am done. And so what happens here, again, don't judge yourself on what it looks like, because it's a goofy drawing. But just, it's good when I look at this to be aware, well, how did that happen? I started off making the cat head fairly large, and then everything else, as I came around here, I was trying to be conscious of the size of the drawing relative to the rest of the page. And I started making everything smaller, and that's what happened. And even here, when I tried to draw the face, obviously I wasn't cheating. So you know what? I'm going to try that again. I think I can get it more accurately this time, but I'll draw a smaller face this time. Okay, maybe. I'm not looking. Okay. There. Eye, nose. I think there's something liberating about this process because you know it's going to come out all goofy looking. So you can't really beat yourself up and say this looks terrible because it's supposed to. You're training your brain to look at relationships. And the more complex the shape is, the harder it is for you to find your way back to where you started, and that's totally okay. But the more you do this, theoretically, and if you're just looking really, really accurately, carefully, and moving your eye around the object at the same time as how your hand moves around. Okay, I think that was a little bit better, right? Anyway, the more you do this, theoretically, the closer they will be, because if you just kind of practice that eye-hand relationship and just looking at the angles as carefully as possible, you know. And look at me, I've been drawing for a long time and I still can't get it to quite line up right. And again, that is totally okay. Okay, I'm gonna do a face now. Okay, so next I'm gonna draw a picture of Ryan Reynolds. And again, it's not gonna be accurate, so I'm choosing him just because he's awesome and it's just for fun. Thing about faces is unless it's a 3/4 portrait where it's turned inwards, all the features are on the inside of the shape. So when you're doing the contour, you have to leave the contour and jump into the middle and do those features and then come back. Or you could even take your line and just kind of slide it inside, because this is not really about accuracy. Again, it's just about training your eye to move around an object, analyze it carefully, and then you tell your pencil to try to follow those shapes as your eye is moving around those edges. Okay, so I'm going to start right over here and let's see, right above the left ear, and I'm going to kind of go like that. So there is an ear, and he's got sideburns here, hair, and this part is here. So I'm trying to go on the inside here this time. No idea if the other ear is at the same height. But then at this point, I'm going to jump to the inside, draw one eye, draw the other eye. Very handsome mustache and beard. And then somewhere over here is where I'm going to do his jaw. And collar. All right. Okay, I am done, and that is a hot mess. But there's certain parts that I think look pretty good. The ears are at the same height. The hair looks pretty good. I just turned his face into a total Mr. Potato Head. And again, that's okay. All right, this exercise can be done with anything. For students who are learning the portrait and figure drawing, it could absolutely be done with that. You might have more success working from life sometimes rather than a photo, because when you are looking at a three-dimensional object in front of you, then your brain can sometimes have more ability to capture it as a three-dimensional object than transferring a two-dimensional image. So that's a small detail. Okay, so anyway, I hope you have fun with that. I suggest doing several pages of these every week, and overall it should help anybody who's learning to draw become better attuned at capturing information. Even though it looks messy, it's still going to help you train your hand to draw and capture information, or train your eye to capture more information. All right, peace out.